Welcome to The Growth Equation. This isn't your typical business podcast. We're keeping it real about the challenges of scaling up, period. I'm Tristan Wright and I've been there. I've built and scaled my own business. I've sold it. I've learned a ton along the way. Now I'm bringing you the no BS stories of founders who are in the trenches right now, navigating that messy middle. We're talking advertising, marketing, design, creative, branding, the whole 9 yards. Doesn't matter if you're a solopreneur or running a team of 100. Everyone's got a secret sauce, that thing that makes them different, better. We're going to uncover it. So grab a coffee and let's get real. Today we're talking to Steve from Digimark, gone from being a former nurse to founder of Digimark SEO, digital marketing agency. Welcome, Steve.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. So that was a bit of a mouthful, and I might have got Digimark services slightly incorrect, but at the end of the day, the basis is SEO. But I want to hear about your story. We were talking earlier that you were working as a registered nurse, and now you're running Digimark. Tell me the story. What happened?
It's the general story of I went into something that people encouraged me to do because they thought I'd be good at it. I was, but I didn't really like the work. I started off building websites in 1998. So I did that and then went into nursing and then found that I wasn't really enjoying it. So I went back to building the websites and it all sort of built from there.
Yeah, wow. So, and we were talking about Odesk, which is, for those of you that don't know, is the precursor to Upwork. So one of the original online platforms for hiring staff, whether it's in Australia, the US, Philippines. And you started your career or a lot of your work through Odesk. You were freelancing there in your spare time.
Yeah, so I jumped straight onto Odesk. And I was getting a few projects through there, but I found that I was competing against people that could work for $5 an hour, which wasn't really sustainable. So I looked at various different things that I could do locally. Networking was one of those things, but I came across this thing called SEO, and I thought, oh, this is great. I can combine my technical knowledge to figure out how all of this works, put my website into a website that promised to give me 1 million backlinks because I knew they were important. Did that. Google hated it because it was around the time that they were doing a lot of penalizing for backlinks. And so I got blacklisted, and that was it. I am very competitive. I hate to lose. And that thing just lit a fire in me. I had to know everything that there was about SEO so that I never had that experience again.
And fast forward to today, you've worked with some pretty big name companies. Like you've worked with Channel 7, you've done SEO for not just small business, but some medium and large businesses as well.
Yeah, so I've worked with Queensland Health as well. Yeah.
So yeah, that's former registered nurse through to now running a team of 9. Is that correct?
Yeah. So there's been a lot of learning that's gone into actually running a team, but I don't think that we would grow beyond the 9. I like to keep it nice and I like to call it an elite team, sort of like Black Ops, that they go in and a little bit more strategic rather than having like 500 people and each of them do various different things that are general in nature.
Yeah. So when you were a nurse, did you have any leadership experience there, or have you had to effectively be self-taught on the job?
Yes and no. I was trained as a registered nurse, so they are the leader of the team, basically. So you would have your enrolled nurse, and if you're working for public health, a assistant nurse as well. They've got them in private health these days too. but you were the leader of that team, and you would have to go in and assess each of the patients to determine whether or not they were well, whether you needed to contact the doctor. So it was, at the end of the day, your decision as to whether or not you needed to call the doctor, inform the team leader, as in the leader of the shift. But there was a lot that I had to learn on the job as well, becoming a business leader in Digimark.
Yeah, I imagine it would have been, and probably still is at times, quite confronting because it's a very different skill set. So, and not necessarily always smooth sailing in hiring and managing people. So, uh, I believe that with your hiring now, you've got a full process. So you don't just hire people, but once you bring them on, they go through a full training course with you, so they're up to the Digimark standard, so to speak.
Yeah, that's right. I found that when I was trying to hire people through Upwork, I hired an SEO and they would go and do the SEO work, but it wasn't to the degree that I wanted them to do it. And half of the time I found that they would just add keywords to weird areas like the menu items, or they would make weird mistakes that I wouldn't do myself. So I thought the best way to tackle that would be to actually train them. And then that training we formed into a course, which then anyone that becomes employed by Digimark goes through that course so that they have a better understanding of what it is that is expected of them.
So it turns into the Digimark way. It's almost like
Yeah.
creating SOPs. So there's a full onboarding process at the start.
Yeah. And we do have SOPs, which is what created the foundations for the course itself.
Yeah, nice. And we talked, so that's an onboarding and the Digimark course. And so pre doing that to now posting that, what differences have you found in terms of hiring staff, but also staff retention?
So hiring staff has become one of the most important parts of the entire process, because one of the things that I found along the way, offshore staff I've already discussed, but there are also Australian staff that I brought on that, due to lack of management experience, due to lack of direction, due to a number of other things, which I would prefer to keep myself accountable because I can control that. We found that, let me just spill the beans. 5 years ago, I had a situation where Digimark almost went under simply because I had some Australian staff who I had hired into roles to do specific jobs, but I just left them to do those jobs. And what I found was clients weren't ranking. They weren't getting more traffic through. They weren't getting more leads through. And when they asked why, when I went and tried to fact find, I couldn't find anything in our project management to discover as to what the problem would have been. But when I actually started to audit the sites and figure out, okay, well, what's actually going on here, things had been signed off that hadn't actually been done. And I just unraveled all of these things that that they weren't being done, basically. So we ended up losing clients because of that. We ended up, I had to go back into Digimark in an operations role rather than a sales role to go in and do the SEO work with the rest of my team, because it was split into strategists and doers. So the doers were doing what they were instructed to do at the time, which most of the time they were just sitting around because there wasn't a lot of things being done. And so having to go back and do that strategy and making sure that the doers had their doing work that needed to be done. So to fast forward to now, we've got a whole series of processes in place to make sure that people are hired into these positions so that they understand what the expectations of their role are. And I have checks in place to maintain quality assurance. So I still go through, and the end result is I check the final thing that goes to the client. I check the final thing that gets ticked off. So it's still very much falling with me, but I mean, I'm the leader. It
Yeah.
needs to. Um, but making sure that interview process, that people understand what it is that the role that they're going into actually is, and what your expectations of them are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, totally. So looking back at that period, if you were to not lay blame, but provide a reason as to why this happened, what was it? What would you say was the reason why you had those issues?
I'm a big believer in accountability, and most of the time I find that it's easy to blame others, um, and it's kept me up at night for years, just going through. Well, it's gotten a lot easier to sleep now that I've actually figured out what it was, but it's taken a while to actually narrow down what it was that I think was the problem. And the problem was they didn't have clear expectations. I said, you have this role of strategist. That means that it's this task, and this task that you need to complete in order to do that. But there was no expectation beyond that. They were doing those tasks. It just wasn't the way that I wanted them done, for starters, even though we did have SOPs in place, but they weren't at a stage where it was, this is exactly what I want you to do, and then think out of the box here. It needed to be more of a framework than a set of a list, basically.
Yeah,
And I think that frameworks are probably the better way to go about it, because a framework isn't a set of instructions. It's this is the end goal that we're trying to get to, and this is the pathway to it. But if you find a better way that fits in with the framework, do that.
yeah. Yes. So if we think about it, it was almost an inexperienced leader that hadn't communicated properly that was the ultimate issue.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So unfortunately, if we to lay blame, the blame comes back to you.
Yeah. Which is great, because I can work on me. I can't sort of go and fix anybody else, but I can fix that problem with me. And it's so far worked out a lot better.
Yeah. So hindsight's a wonderful thing. Uh, could you have done anything differently back then to stop you almost going back to a day job?
Yeah. The other thing that I didn't do was listen to the people around me. So I have a business coach, and the business coach at the time was saying, things are bad. You need to let these people go. I was like, no, they're doing such a great job. I need them. My accountant said, mate, come on. You've got to make a decision here. Like, something needs to happen. I didn't listen to the people that I had in place to make the decision that needed to be done. And it, yeah, I almost had to go back to nursing because of it.
So it was. This is not me having a go at you. It's a statement. It was almost like business immaturity. Like you were ticking the boxes, you're doing what everyone told you to do, to get a business coach, to get an advisor, to listen to your accountant. But at the end of the day, you were still doing what you thought was right, kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a lot of ego that goes into business as well, and it's easy to look at a situation in hindsight, as you've said, and go, "Oh, well, why didn't I do it this way?" But the ego comes in. Oh, I'm letting go of staff.
Mm.
I have this team that is really, really trying hard, and I don't want to let them down. And how are they going to view me, or how is everybody else going to view me? So it's easy to get trapped in that ego side of things. It's also easy to go, it's okay because things are going to get better. It's just this little hurdle that we've got to get over. So let's figure out how to fix that hurdle and just ignore that right now, because this is something that we can fix. But sometimes taking a step backwards is a step forwards.
Yeah. And at the time, you were probably just a tiny bit too close to it, and hadn't realized that you need to let go of your ego as well.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So many people, well, they don't realize that, and their ego is the biggest hurdle to growing their business.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
It all comes down to personal growth. Like I've found that time and time again, growing in business and growing a business is very much a personal journey where you're leveling up, so to speak, with each obstacle. And if you don't get past that obstacle with the first round, then you've got to come across that obstacle again until you fix that or level up to get past that obstacle.
Yeah. And it's your comfort zone. So are you happy staying in your comfort zone, comfortable being uncomfortable? Or are you going to step out of your comfort zone for a while to make your comfort zones larger?
Yeah, my business coach has spoken about this a lot. I like the technical side, so I do tend to peek my head into operations a little bit too much. Yeah, I've been told to get out of operations.
You get out of operations if that's not where you're best at. Like you need to understand what your skill sets are and focus on your area of genius. And if you've got a weakness, you hire to support those weaknesses.
I think also that the role of the business leader is to lead. I mean, if you even if you are good at operations, then it's a matter of hiring, and I think that you'll hire in the long run if you've really thought about who the people are that you want in those particular roles.
Mm.
When you hire into those roles and let them do their job, then the leader becomes very much the direction setter, which is what you're supposed to be as the owner, the founder, the CEO, the managing director, whatever you want to call that person. They're very much steering the ship. And if you're constantly going back to make sure that the rudder's working properly,
That ain't going to work.
yeah,
You're not going to be. The rudder might be working, but it might be pointing the business in the wrong direction.
yeah, yeah,
So you need to be setting the direction of the business and ensuring that you're paddling with your team to go in that direction, rather than fixing up the rudder.
yeah, yeah. And if you can't trust your team to drive the ship effectively in the direction that you want them to go, then it's either one of two problems that you have. It's either you don't have the right team in place, which means you need to go and replace that person, or you don't have the right instructions in place for that person to do their job effectively. And that's setting those expectations. which
Totally.
both of those things fall back to you.
Yep. Yep. At the end of the day, as a business owner, it starts and finishes with you, and and yes, you do need to let go of things. You also need to learn when to upskill yourself or to get others to support you as well.
Yeah, I like the concept of, I can't remember who said it, but um, in order to get to from 0 to 100,000 a year, it requires a certain mindset. To get from 100,000 to 1 million a year, it requires a different mindset again. And then to get from 1 million a year to 1 million a month, it takes another mindset again, which is why you see them swapping out CEOs at certain points along the growth journey, because
Yep.
that person hasn't quite gotten to the stage where they're ready to take it to the next level. So they put someone else in who's already done that.
Yes. Yeah. What got you here won't get you there. You need
Yeah.
to understand what the milestones are and what you need to change at each of those levels, like 100,000, 300, 1 million, 3 million, then 10 million. And probably in terms of revenue gaps in this space,
Yeah.
the different sorts of levels that you need. And so, um, workload and work hours, has it always been smooth sailing for you, or has there been a few late nights?
There's definitely been late nights, especially with the lead up to hiring those people that I hired. I backed off a lot there and felt that I was doing reasonable hours, and then it all got dumped back on trying to resurrect Digimark out of the mess that we were in. Now, most of my time is spent just creating stuff for Digimark. So I do go in and I have a project management day where I go through and tick off all the things that have been done by the team, making sure that that's all done. I'm still very much involved in sales meetings. But beyond that, I'm creating various different things with AI, various different automations, those sorts of things, which is a lot of fun.
Let's touch on AI quickly.
Yeah.
How has that changed your business over the last 3 years?
Oh, it's amazing. Yeah, absolutely amazing. I mean, there's so many things that you can do with it, even looking at strategy work, like being able to give ChatGPT, which is our preferred model or our preferred AI, a base strategy and going, how can we enhance this? And then adding in the competitors that we're competing against for that particular client and going, this is what their site is. What are they doing that we can do better? And it just producing significantly better strategy than what we would be able to come up with in a short period of time. Like we could get there in 3 to 6 months, but it's instant.
Yeah. Yeah. So like the automations, the AI that you can build, it makes it's so different. Like, so much more with less.
Yeah, yeah, even to the point where we've created this AI bot that we've called DigiQuill, where we basically give it a whole heap of information around tone of voice, around what keyword they were trying to rank for, the title of the post, and it will do research on that topic, and it will produce an article that is thorough, in depth, ranks well in Google, and just covers the topic within a minute.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing what it can do.
Yeah.
Um, if you were to give other business owners one piece of advice that you've learned from your entire journey, what's that one piece of advice going to be?
Read Profit First, because that pretty much says everything that is worth saying in that particular question. I think.
Yes, definitely learn a lot from Profit First and how to manage your money. It's
Yeah.
the business owner's version of Barefoot Investor in simple layman's terms.
Yeah. Yeah. I also really liked the personal MBA. I've learned so many things from that. So read those two books is what I would recommend rather than a single piece of advice. There's gold in both of those books.
Keep learning, basically, and keep asking questions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your time today, mate. What's the best way for people to contact you if they wanted to get in touch?
I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, so I think are you able to link the links in there? Yeah, just connect with me on there.
Yeah, perfect. We'll put that in the show notes on your LinkedIn profile.
Awesome. Thanks so much for your time.
Thanks, mate. That's a wrap. Thanks for tuning into The Growth Equation. If you've enjoyed the show, hit that subscribe button and leave a review. It helps us big time. Catch you next time. And if you want more, head over to evolvetogrow.com.au for show notes and exclusive content.